The command deck of the Crydonian warship gleamed with victory. Admiral Kresthor stood before the main viewing screen, watching as the last city on Velthan Prime burned below. Another world had fallen to the Empire. Another species had learned to kneel. "Clean conquest, Admiral," his second officer reported. "Total casualties, 47 Crydonian soldiers. Enemy casualties, approximately 4 million. The remaining Velthani population is ready for processing." Kresthor nodded. This was the 400th world to fall in 200 cycles of expansion. The Crydonian Empire had perfected the art of conquest. Superior weapons, stronger ships, and the will to use them without mercy. It was a simple formula that never failed. "Excellent work. Begin resource extraction immediately." Kresthor turned from the screen. "What is our next target?" The communications officer stepped forward holding a data tablet. "High Command has selected a new world, Admiral. It is called Earth, a primitive planet in the outer spiral arm." "Primitive?" Kresthor took the tablet and reviewed the information. "Chemical rockets, nuclear weapons. They barely have a presence in their own star system." He laughed, a harsh sound. "This will take less than a day cycle." "Admiral," the communications officer said carefully, "there is something strange. We have received multiple warnings about this planet." Kresthor looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Warnings? From whom?" "3 sources, sir. First, from Velthani survivors who fled before we took their world. Second, from the Trader Guild. Third, from an old automated beacon near the Earth system." "And what do these warnings say?" The officer activated a hologram. A recorded message appeared. It was a Velthani captain, his face covered in blood and ash. "Do not go to Earth. Please, whoever hears this, it is a trap. The humans are not what they seem. We tried to raid their system for resources. Only one of our ships returned. Do not go to Earth." Another message replaced it. This one came from a Trader Guild representative. "To all species, Earth is marked as a protected zone by Guild authority. We strongly advise against military action in this system. The humans have demonstrated unusual defensive capabilities. Consider this a formal warning." The third message was oldest. It came from a beacon that drifted in space near Earth's solar system. The message was simple and direct. "Warning to all aggressive species. The world ahead is called Earth. Its inhabitants are dangerous. They do not fight as others fight. Turn back. This is not a conquest. It is a trap." Kresthor stared at the messages for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. His officers joined him, the sound filling the command deck. "A trap?" Kresthor deleted the messages with a wave of his hand. "We have conquered 400 worlds. We have destroyed species with technology far beyond these humans. And we are supposed to fear creatures who still use chemical fuel?" "The Velthani were weak," his weapons officer added. "They probably attacked poorly and blamed the humans for their own failure." "And the Trader Guild?" another officer suggested. "They want to keep Earth for themselves. They want the resources without competition." "Exactly," Kresthor agreed. "These warnings are nothing. Fear from the weak, greed from merchants, and an old beacon probably left by some long-dead species who lost a single battle and ran away." He pulled up the data on Earth again. The planet was beautiful, covered in blue water and green land. The images showed cities, but they were small compared to Crydonian megastructures. The military data showed nuclear weapons, yes, but the delivery systems were crude. Their space navy consisted of a few satellites and some basic orbital platforms. "High Command wants this conquest to be quick," Kresthor announced. "The Empire needs a morale victory after the Velthani resistance lasted longer than expected. Earth will provide that victory. We will show the galaxy that the Crydonian Empire fears nothing." "How large a fleet should we send, Admiral?" Kresthor considered. For a normal conquest of a primitive world, 10 warships would be enough. But these warnings, foolish as they were, had spread through the military channels. Some soldiers might hesitate. Better to make this overwhelming. 50 warships, he decided. We will turn their entire planet into glass if they resist. We will make an example of Earth that the whole galaxy will see. The crew cheered. 50 warships represented enormous firepower. No primitive world could stand against such force. The conquest would be glorious and quick. Set course for Earth, Kresthor commanded. Maximum speed. I want to be celebrating our victory before the next cycle begins. The great Crydonian fleet turned in space. 50 massive warships, each one capable of destroying cities from orbit. Their shields could withstand nuclear attacks. Their weapons could pierce any armor known to the galaxy. They had never lost a battle, never failed a conquest. As the fleet entered faster-than-light travel, no one noticed a small ship hiding in the shadow of Velthan Prime's moon. It was not Crydonian. It was not Velthani. Its design was unknown to the Empire's databases. Inside the ship, a single figure watched the Crydonian fleet disappear into the stars. The figure wore a simple uniform with a patch on the shoulder. The patch showed a blue and green planet, Earth. The figure touched a communication device. Observer Station 7 to Earth Command. The Crydonians are coming. They ignored all warnings. Fleet size, 50 warships. Estimated arrival, 14 Earth days. A voice responded from across the galaxy. Understood, Observer 7. Proceed to the next position. It is time to activate the contingency plans. They were warned. They chose not to listen. The figure nodded and began plotting a course. They always choose not to listen. That is why the trap works. The small ship vanished into the darkness of space, leaving the burning world of Velthan Prime behind. The Crydonians thought they had conquered it completely. They did not know that 3 human observers had been watching the entire battle, taking notes, recording tactics, and sending everything back to Earth. The Crydonians had 50 warships, superior technology, and 200 years of conquest experience. Earth had something different. Earth had 14 days of preparation, and the knowledge that the enemy was coming exactly as predicted. The trap was ready. The Crydonians were on their way. And somewhere in the depths of space, that old automated beacon continued to broadcast its warning to anyone who would listen. Do not go to Earth. It is a trap. But the Crydonians were already gone, racing toward a planet that looked weak and primitive. A planet that had been waiting for them for a very long time. The Crydonian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Kresthor stood on his command deck, expecting to see chaos. Primitive worlds usually panicked when a war fleet arrived. They sent desperate messages begging for mercy or made foolish threats they could not back up. Earth did neither. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the planet, the communications officer reported. It is being broadcast on all frequencies in our language. Put it through, Kresthor ordered. A human appeared on the screen. She was a woman with dark hair, wearing a simple military uniform. She looked directly at the camera with calm eyes. I am Secretary General Kim Min-seo of the United Earth Government. We have been expecting you, Admiral Kresthor. We received your fleet's signature 14 days ago. We know why you are here. Kresthor felt a small surprise. The humans had detected them early and knew his name. Still, detection meant nothing without the power to act. Then you know you must surrender immediately. The Crydonian Empire does not accept resistance. Min-seo smiled slightly. We are not surrendering, Admiral. We are also not your enemy unless you make us one. Turn your fleet around. Leave our system. This is your only warning. The command deck erupted in laughter. The weapons officer called out, Admiral, their orbital defenses are minimal. We count only 47 satellites with weapons capability. Their ground forces use chemical explosives. They are helpless. You have 1 hour to begin surrender procedures, Krezthor told the human woman. "After that, we will demonstrate our power." Minseo's expression did not change. "Then we will see you on the ground, Admiral. We hope you brought warm clothes." The transmission ended. Krezthor frowned at the strange comment, but pushed it aside. "Deploy landing forces. 3 sites. Their northern continent called North America, their equatorial forest region, and their largest desert. We will establish submission zones and work from there." The Crydonian dropships launched. Each carried 50 soldiers in full combat armor. Their shields could stop bullets and small explosives. Their weapons could cut through steel. They had conquered hundreds of worlds with these same soldiers and tactics. The first landing party touched down in the far north of a territory called Canada. The leader, Commander Thexic, expected immediate resistance. Instead, he found only snow and empty land. "Spread out," he ordered. "Locate the nearest settlement." The temperature reading on his suit display caught his attention. It showed -40 degrees. His suit heating system activated automatically. "Command, the environmental conditions here are extreme. Our armor heating systems are consuming power at 3 times the normal rate." From orbit, Krezthor responded. "Adapt and continue. Humans survive in those conditions. You can too." Thexic led his soldiers forward through the deep snow. The white landscape stretched endlessly in all directions. Then suddenly his point soldier disappeared. One moment he was there, the next he had fallen through the ice into freezing water below. "Pull him out!" Thexic shouted. 2 soldiers rushed forward. The ice cracked under their weight, and they fell through as well. The freezing water shorted out their heating systems immediately. Their armor, designed for climate-controlled battles, became a frozen tomb. Then the humans attacked. They came on small, fast vehicles, moving across the snow with impossible speed. They wore thick white clothing that blended with the landscape. They fired simple bullets, aiming not at Crydonian shields, but at the heating units on the back of each armor suit. "They are targeting our environmental systems," Thexic realized. Without heat, the armor would freeze. The soldiers would die not from human weapons, but from the cold itself. He tried to call for extraction, but human jamming signals blocked his communication. His last thought before the cold took him was that the humans had not tried to fight the Crydonian technology. They had used the planet itself as a weapon. The second landing party descended into the Amazon rainforest. Commander Vixal was confident. His thermal scanners could detect any warm body. The thick plant life would provide no cover against Crydonian technology. But the moment his soldiers entered the forest, the plants themselves seemed to fight back. Thick vines tangled their weapons. Insects swarmed over their armor, finding gaps and seals. The air was so hot and humid that their cooling systems struggled. "Thermal contacts everywhere," a soldier shouted. "I count hundreds. No, thousands." But the contacts were not all human. The scanners picked up every animal, every bird, every warm-blooded creature in the jungle. The humans had somehow learned to mask themselves among the natural heat signatures. Soldiers began disappearing. One moment a Crydonian warrior was there, the next he was gone, pulled into the thick undergrowth by unseen hands. The remaining soldiers fired wildly, hitting trees and animals, but never finding the enemy. Vixal heard sounds around him, human voices, speaking in their language. They were not shouting or making threats. They were laughing. The jungle was their home, and the Crydonians were clumsy invaders. When the reinforcements arrived hours later, they found only empty armor and weapons scattered through the forest. The soldiers had vanished completely. The third landing party had better luck initially. Commander Dralix brought his troops down in the Sahara Desert, finding open ground and clear sight lines. No hiding places for primitive humans here. His soldiers established a perimeter and began setting up shield generators. The heat was intense, but Crydonians had fought in hot environments before. They would adapt. But as the day continued, the temperature climbed higher. 50 degrees, 60 degrees. The sand itself became hot enough to damage equipment. The shield generators consumed enormous power trying to cool the protected area. Then the sandstorm hit. It came suddenly, a massive wall of wind and sand that blocked all visibility. The Crydonian soldiers had shields against weapons, but sand was not a weapon. It was everywhere, getting into joints and seals, scratching optical equipment, and filling the air with particles that confused scanners. In the chaos of the storm, humans attacked. They came on vehicles with huge wheels designed for sand. They wore simple cloth over their faces and knew exactly how to move in the storm. They fired weapons, but more importantly, they threw simple explosives that knocked over the shield generators. A young Korean soldier named Ji-woo led the attack. He had grown up learning about military history and had studied every tactic humans had ever used. He knew the Crydonians had better technology, but technology needed power, needed visibility, and needed the right environment to work. The desert was not the right environment. When the sandstorm finally cleared, Drolix counted his losses. 30 soldiers dead or missing, equipment damaged, shield generators destroyed, and all from humans using wind and sand as weapons. From orbit, Admiral Kresthor watched his 3 landing parties struggle. This was not how conquests were supposed to go. The humans were not fighting with advanced weapons. They were using the planet itself against his soldiers. "Admiral," his tactical officer said quietly, "every landing site was chosen by us based on strategic value. But the humans seem to have predicted our choices. Each site had a natural disadvantage we did not consider." Kresthor felt anger rising. "Then we will adapt. Call for reinforcements. Send 200 more warships. We will show these humans that the Crydonian Empire does not accept defeat." As he sent the message, he did not notice that Ji-woo and his team had captured several pieces of Crydonian equipment intact. They were already loading it onto trucks, taking it to hidden facilities where human scientists waited to study it. Earth had not tried to destroy the Crydonian technology. They had tried to capture it. The trap was working exactly as planned. 200 Crydonian warships emerged from faster-than-light travel around Earth. Admiral Kresthor felt satisfaction as he watched them take positions. This was real power. This was the force that had conquered half the galaxy. No primitive world could stand against this. "Begin orbital bombardment," he ordered. "Target their military bases, their command centers, and their industrial facilities. Show them the price of resistance." The warships opened fire. Beams of energy lanced down from orbit, striking military installations across Earth. Bases exploded. Command bunkers collapsed. Factories burned. It was devastation on a massive scale. But the humans did not surrender. Instead, they did something unexpected. They started moving. "Admiral, we are tracking thousands of small spacecraft launching from the planet," the sensor officer reported. "They appear to be civilian satellites, old rocket stages, space debris." Kresthor looked at the scanner display. The objects were tiny, most no bigger than a personal vehicle. Many appeared to be decades old, leftover junk from early human space exploration. "Ignore them. Focus on military targets." "Sir, the objects are not moving in natural orbits. They have thrust capability. They are maneuvering." Kresthor watched as thousands of pieces of supposed space junk suddenly came to life. Each one had small thrusters attached, pushing them into new trajectories. They were not moving randomly. They were converging on the Crydonian fleet. "Evasive action!" he shouted, but it was too late. The first object struck the shields of his warships. They were moving at incredible speeds, hitting with tremendous force. Individually, each piece of debris was harmless, but there were thousands of them, striking from every direction. The shields absorbed the first impacts easily. But the debris kept coming. Old satellites, dead rocket boosters, even what appeared to be pieces of ancient space stations. All of them had been equipped with guidance systems and thrusters, all of them aimed at the Crydonian ships. "Shields at 70%, the defensive officer called out. 60%, "Sir, there are too many objects. We cannot target them all." Kresthor realized the terrible truth. The humans had been launching objects into space for decades. They had left what everyone thought was trash in orbit around their planet. But it was not trash. It was a minefield waiting to be activated. And the humans had been tracking every single piece, plotting trajectories, preparing for this exact moment. "Deploy point defense systems. Destroy those objects." The Crydonian warships fired thousands of small laser bursts, destroying the incoming debris. But for every piece they destroyed, two more took its place. The humans had turned decades of their own pollution into a weapon. Then the real attack began. From hidden facilities on Earth's surface and moon, missiles launched. These were not the primitive chemical rockets the Crydonians expected. These missiles were fast, guided by sophisticated computers, and they came in swarms. Commander Min Jun watched from a bunker deep underground in Korea. He had been a military engineer before the invasion. Now he was part of Earth's defense coordination. The screen in front of him showed the orbital battle. "Wave 2 missiles away," his assistant reported. "Wave 3 preparing to launch." Min Jun nodded. The missiles were based on old technology, yes, but the humans had learned something important about Crydonian sensors. The aliens were designed to detect advanced threats. Their computers automatically prioritized targets based on technological signatures. But Earth's older, simpler weapons did not register as high threats. By the time the Crydonian computers realized the danger, the missiles were already too close to stop. "Targets hit on ships 7, 12, and 23, the tactical officer announced. "Shield penetration confirmed. Hull damage to all 3 vessels." Kresthor could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet was losing to weapons that should have been obsolete. "How are they penetrating our shields?" His science officer provided the answer. "Admiral, their missiles are not using advanced warheads. They are using simple nuclear explosives combined with kinetic impact. Our shields are calibrated to stop energy weapons and advanced plasma charges. These primitive explosives use a different energy signature. Our shields are not as effective against them." It was another trap. The Crydonians had designed their defenses to stop advanced weapons. The humans had attacked with simple ones. On Earth's surface, the ground war continued. Crydonian soldiers had learned from their first defeats. They wore environment suits now, protected against heat and cold. They moved in larger groups with better coordination. But the humans adapted too. In the cities, they used the buildings themselves as weapons. Booby traps filled empty structures. Ambushes came from underground tunnels. Snipers fired from windows and disappeared before return fire could target them. Korean soldier Ji-woo had become famous among the resistance fighters. He led a unit that specialized in urban combat. His tactics were simple. Never fight the Crydonians directly. Always attack and retreat. Always use the environment. "They have better armor than us," he told his troops. "Better weapons, better technology. So we do not fight them on their terms. We make them fight on ours. This is our planet. Every street, every building, every sewer tunnel is a weapon if we use it correctly." His unit attacked a Crydonian patrol in Seoul. They collapsed a building to block the aliens' path, forcing them into a narrow street. Then they opened fire hydrants, flooding the street with water. The Crydonian sensors could not work properly in the water. Their footing became unstable, and while they struggled, Ji-woo's soldiers hit them with simple bullets aimed at joint seals and equipment ports. In space, the battle continued. Kresthor had lost 30% of his fleet. The remaining ships were damaged and low on power. The shield generators had consumed enormous energy, blocking the constant debris impacts. The point defense systems were overheating from constant use. "Admiral, we need to withdraw and regroup," his second officer advised. "Our ships cannot sustain this level of combat." Kresthor wanted to refuse. The Crydonian Empire did not retreat. But he also could not lose the entire fleet. Pull back to defensive positions. Call for reinforcements from High Command. Tell them we need the battle fleet, all of it. As the Crydonian ships moved to higher orbits, away from the debris field, Min Jun smiled in his underground bunker. The first phase had worked. The Crydonians had committed more forces exactly as predicted. Now Earth knew their tactics, their weaknesses, and their technology even better. "How long until they bring in more ships?" his assistant asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3, Min Jun answered. "That gives us time to prepare the next phase. What if they bring their entire battle fleet? 500 ships?" Min Jun pulled up a star chart on his display. It showed the solar system, but with markers extending far beyond Earth. Markers on asteroids, on moons, on seemingly empty patches of space. Then they will learn that Earth's trap is much bigger than they think. We have been preparing for this for 50 years. Every warning we sent them was honest. We told them not to come. We told them it was a trap. He zoomed in on one marker near the asteroid belt. It showed a large rock with hidden modifications. They chose not to listen, so now they will see what happens when humans have time to prepare, when humans can use an entire solar system as a weapon. In orbit, Admiral Kresthor looked down at Earth. The blue planet seemed so peaceful from this distance, so innocent. How could something that looked so beautiful be so deadly? His communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "Admiral, High Command is responding to our request. Supreme Commander Vexillar is coming personally with the battle fleet. 500 warships. He says he will not leave until Earth is conquered or destroyed." Kresthor should have felt relief. Instead, he felt a strange worry. The humans had been ready for 50 ships. They had been ready for 200 ships. What if they were ready for 500 too? He looked at the debris field still floating around Earth. Thousands of pieces of metal and technology, each one carefully tracked and aimed by human computers. It was brilliant and terrifying. The humans had turned their own trash into a weapon. What else had they turned into weapons? What other traps were waiting? The old beacon's message echoed in his memory. "Do not go to Earth. It is a trap." He finally understood. The trap was not a single ambush. The entire planet was a trap. The entire solar system was a trap. And the Crydonians had walked right into it. Supreme Commander Vexillar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the largest warship in the Crydonian fleet. Behind him, 499 other warships moved in perfect formation. This was the entire battle fleet, the force that had never lost a major engagement in 200 years. "This is embarrassing," Vexillar said coldly. "Admiral Kresthor, you have failed to conquer a primitive world with 250 ships." "Explain." Kresthor appeared on the communication screen, looking tired. "Supreme Commander, the humans are not fighting as other species fight. They use unconventional tactics. They use their environment. They use weapons we were not designed to defend against." "Excuses," Vexillar snapped. "I see a primitive planet with outdated technology. You see insurmountable challenges. This is why I lead the battle fleet and you do not." He turned to his officers. "Prepare for full planetary assault. We will bombard their cities from orbit until they surrender. If they do not surrender, we will destroy their entire civilization. The galaxy will remember what happens to those who resist the Empire." "Supreme Commander," the communications officer interrupted. "We are receiving a transmission from Earth. They are requesting a parley." Vexillar laughed. "Now they want to talk? After killing thousands of our soldiers? Very well. Let us hear what these humans have to say before we destroy them." The screen changed to show a Korean woman in a diplomatic uniform. She had calm eyes and a slight smile. "I am Ambassador Park Hye-jin, representing the United Earth Government. Thank you for accepting our communication request, Supreme Commander Vexillar." Vexillar was surprised she knew his name. You have killed many Crydonian soldiers, Ambassador. You have destroyed our ships. And now you want to negotiate surrender terms? No, Hiejin said simply. We want to offer you one final chance to leave peacefully. Your empire has conquered 400 worlds. We know this. We have studied your tactics, your technology, and your culture for 50 years. Impossible, Vexillar said. We only discovered Earth 3 weeks ago. Hiejin smiled wider. No, Supreme Commander. We discovered you 50 years ago. We detected your communications, studied your language, and learned everything we could about the Crydonian Empire. We knew you would come eventually. We have been preparing for this meeting for half a century. She touched something off screen, and new images appeared. Files upon files of Crydonian military data, ship designs, weapon specifications, battle tactics. Even personal information about Crydonian commanders. Everything was there, organized and detailed. Vexillar felt cold shock run through him. How did you obtain this information? We listened, Hiejin explained. Your empire uses powerful communication signals. They travel far through space. We have been listening for decades. You conquered worlds, and we learned from watching. We saw how you fight. We saw your strengths and your weaknesses. And we prepared. Then you know you cannot win, Vexillar said, recovering his confidence. You know our firepower. You know what 500 warships can do to a planet. Yes, we know, Hiejin agreed. Which is why we ask again. Please leave. We do not want to destroy your fleet. We do not want more Crydonian soldiers to die. But if you continue this attack, we will defend ourselves. Vexillar had heard enough. This human woman was trying to intimidate him with stolen information and false confidence. You have 1 hour to surrender completely. After that, your cities burn. He cut the transmission. All ships, prepare for orbital bombardment. I want this planet's surface turned to Supreme Commander, the sensor officer shouted. We are detecting movement throughout the system. Multiple large objects are changing trajectory. Vexillar looked at the tactical display. All across the solar system, asteroids were moving, not drifting in their natural orbits, but actively moving with purpose. Small thrusters attached to each rock guided them on new paths. How many? He demanded. 47 asteroids, sir, all moving toward our fleet position. Estimated impact time, 20 minutes. Vexillar studied the display. The asteroids were large, each one several kilometers across. If they struck his ships at current speeds, the damage would be catastrophic. Destroy them. All ships, target those asteroids and blast them to dust. The Crydonian battle fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the approaching asteroids. Rock exploded into fragments. Entire asteroids shattered under the concentrated firepower. But destroying them revealed another problem. The explosion of each asteroid created thousands of smaller fragments, all still traveling toward the fleet. And hidden inside several asteroids were nuclear devices that detonated when the rocks were destroyed, creating massive explosions that pushed debris in all directions. Shields to maximum, Vexillar ordered. Point defense, destroy all fragments. The battle fleet's defensive systems activated, firing thousands of shots per second. Most of the debris was destroyed, but some got through. Fragments struck shields, draining power. The fleet was forced to maneuver, breaking their perfect formation. And while the Crydonians were distracted, Earth's real attack began. From hidden facilities on Earth, the Moon, and Mars, thousands of spacecraft launched. These were not the old satellites from before. These were proper military spacecraft, built in secret underground factories over decades. Commander Su-Jin sat in the cockpit of her fighter. She was a pilot, trained specifically for this moment. Around her, thousands of other human pilots did the same. All wings, this is Flight Leader Su-Jin. Remember your training. The enemy is powerful, but we are many. We are fast. And we know this system better than they do. For Earth! For Earth! Thousands of voices responded. The human spacecraft swarmed the Crydonian fleet like insects attacking a giant. They were small and fast, moving in unpredictable patterns. The Crydonian targeting computers, designed to track large capital ships, struggled to lock onto so many small targets. Su-Jin dove her fighter through enemy fire, releasing a missile at close range. It struck a Crydonian warship's shield generator, overloading it. The ship's shields flickered and died. Immediately, 3 more human fighters hit the same ship with conventional explosives, punching through the hull. "Target their generators," Su-Jin called out. "Work in teams, overload the shields, then hit them with everything." It was tactics borrowed from ancient human naval warfare. Overwhelm the defenses, then strike the hull. Simple, but effective. Vexlar watched in growing horror as his battle fleet, the pride of the Crydonian Empire, was being torn apart by small spacecraft and clever tactics. "How many ships do they have?" "Sensor count is over 5,000 individual craft, sir. They just keep coming." 5,000 spacecraft. Earth had built an entire fleet in secret while appearing to be primitive and helpless. It was all a deception, a trap. "All ships, tactical withdrawal," Vexlar ordered. "Pull back to defensive positions." But the human fighters followed, harassing the retreat. More asteroids appeared on sensors, these coming from different angles. The Crydonians had to divide their fire between the fighters and the asteroids, weakening their response to both. In 3 hours of battle, Vexlar lost 200 ships, 40% of the battle fleet. It was the worst defeat in Crydonian history. "Supreme Commander, we must retreat," his second officer urged. "We cannot win this engagement." Vexlar stared at the tactical display. The humans had not just prepared a defense. They had prepared an entire system-wide trap. The asteroids, the debris field, the hidden spacecraft, everything was part of a plan 50 years in the making. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "Full withdrawal from the system." As the remaining Crydonian ships fled, Hyejin's face appeared on every ship's communication screen. She looked sad, not triumphant. "You were warned, Supreme Commander. The Velthani warned you. The Traitor Guild warned you. The Ancient Beacon warned you. We tried to tell you peacefully. Earth is not your enemy. Conquest is your enemy. Violence is your enemy. We hope you learn this lesson before more of your people die." Vexlar wanted to rage, to threaten, to promise revenge, but the words would not come. He had brought 500 warships, and 300 were destroyed or damaged. The humans had used science, planning, and their entire solar system as a weapon, and they had won. As the fleet limped back toward Crydonian space, Vexlar received multiple reports. Other species across the galaxy had watched the battle. They had seen the mighty Crydonian battle fleet defeated by a primitive world. Rebellions were starting on conquered planets. Supply lines were being cut. The Empire was in chaos. Earth had not just defeated the Crydonians in battle, they had defeated the idea that the Empire was unbeatable. In her office on Earth, Hyejin turned off the communication screen. Commander Min Jun entered. "The fleet is retreating. We won." "No," Hyejin corrected gently. "We survived. Winning comes next, and it will not be with weapons." The Crydonian High Command Chamber was silent as Supreme Commander Vexlar stood before the Council of 5 Supreme Leaders. These 5 ancient Crydonians had ruled the Empire for 3 generations. They had overseen the conquest of 400 worlds, and now, for the first time in 2 centuries, they faced a major defeat. 300 ships lost, High Leader Zoral said quietly. 300. Against a primitive world that uses chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. Explain this. Vexlar. Vexlar stood straight, refusing to show weakness. The humans were not primitive, High Leader. They only appeared that way. They prepared for our arrival for 50 years. They studied us, learned our weaknesses, and built weapons specifically designed to exploit them. Then you were outsmarted by a lesser species, another high leader stated. You are aware this makes you a liability to the Empire? Execute me if you wish, Vexlar replied. But killing me will not solve the larger problem. Earth has shared their tactical data with the entire galaxy. 28 of our subject worlds have already begun rebellions using Earth's tactics. Our supply lines are collapsing. The Empire is in crisis. The high leaders looked at each other. They knew he was correct. The defeat at Earth had done more than cost ships. It had cost something far more valuable, the fear that held the Empire together. Species that once cowered now resisted. The illusion of Crydonian invincibility was broken. What do you recommend? Zoral asked. We must commit all remaining forces to Earth, Vexlar said. We must crush them completely as an example to others. Show the galaxy that resistance leads only to destruction. Before the high leaders could respond, every screen in the chamber activated simultaneously. A human face appeared. It was a Korean man, older, wearing glasses and a simple uniform. Greetings, Crydonian High Command, the man said in perfect Crydonian language. I am Dr. Kang Sung-ho, Chief Scientist of the Earth Defense Initiative. I apologize for interrupting, but I have an important message for you and for the entire galaxy. This is a secured channel, Zor-Al shouted. How did you access it? You have been listening to Earth's communications for decades, Sung-ho explained. We have been listening to yours for just as long. Your security encryption is sophisticated, but we had 50 years to study it. Now, please listen. This message is being broadcast to every species in the galaxy. We want everyone to hear what we have to say. The screen split. Now it showed not just Sung-ho, but multiple images, battle footage from Earth, tactical data on Crydonian weaknesses, information about their military structure. Everything was there, organized and clear. For 200 years, the Crydonian Empire has conquered and enslaved species across the galaxy, Sung-ho continued. They succeeded because they had superior technology and because their victims were isolated, unable to share information or coordinate resistance. Today, Earth changes that. New images appeared, technical diagrams showing how to defeat Crydonian shields using simple kinetic weapons, tactical information about how to use environment and terrain against their soldiers, biological data showing Crydonian vulnerabilities to certain bacteria and viruses found on many planets. We are sharing all of this information freely with any species that wants it, Sung-ho said. We are offering alliance and friendship to all who seek peace. We are also offering military training and coordination to any world fighting Crydonian oppression. You are not alone anymore. Earth stands with you. Vexlar watched the broadcast with growing horror. This was not just a military defeat. This was the complete dismantling of the Empire's power structure. The humans were giving away the secrets of how to resist, freely and openly. But Sung-ho was not finished. The images changed again, showing different content, human music, art, literature, and culture. But we offer more than military tactics, he said softly. We offer hope for a different future. The Crydonian Empire believes strength comes from conquest. We believe strength comes from cooperation. We invite all species, even Crydonians, to join us in building a galactic community based on mutual respect and shared knowledge. The broadcast ended. The screens went dark. The High Command chamber was silent. Then the reports began flooding in. 30 more worlds had declared independence. The Trader Guild had officially recognized Earth as a protected species and cut off trade with the Crydonian Empire. 3 Crydonian colony worlds had requested to open peaceful negotiations with Earth. The Empire was collapsing, not from military conquest, but from the loss of fear and the gain of hope. Zor-Al stood slowly. Vexlar, you are hereby ordered to take the remaining fleet and destroy Earth. Use any means necessary. If we cannot have that planet, no one will. But Vexlar was no longer listening to the High Leader. He was thinking about something the human ambassador had said during their parley. She had offered him something, a choice. His communication device vibrated. An encrypted message appeared. It was from Earth, from Ambassador He Jin. Supreme Commander, you are a military genius who has been forced to serve an evil cause. You know the Empire is finished. You can go down with it, or you can help us build something better. We do not want to destroy the Crydonian people. We want to free them from tyranny, just as we want to free all species. We offer you sanctuary, protection, and a chance to make amends. We offer you a choice. Please choose wisely. Vexillar looked at the High Leaders. 5 old Crydonians who cared only for power and control, who would order the deaths of billions to maintain their grip on the galaxy, who had sent him and thousands of soldiers to die rather than admit weakness. He thought about Earth, about humans who had prepared for 50 years not with hatred, but with hope, who had built weapons to defend themselves, but offered peace first, who had defeated him not by destroying his fleet, but by offering his victims freedom. He made his choice. No, Vexlar said simply. The High Leaders stared at him. What did you say? I said no. I will not attack Earth again. I will not murder billions for your pride. The humans were right about everything. They told us not to come. They told us it was a trap. But the trap was not military. The trap was moral. And I am done being part of your empire's evil. He pulled out a data device and held it up. This contains evidence of war crimes committed by this high command. Civilian massacres. Biological weapons used on defenseless populations. Entire species enslaved or destroyed. I have been gathering this evidence for years, waiting for the right moment. That moment is now. Guards! Zoral shouted. Arrest him! But the guards did not move. They stood at their posts, looking uncertain. They had also heard the human broadcast. They had also seen species across the galaxy rising up with hope instead of cowering in fear. Vexlar walked out of the chamber. No one stopped him. He went to his private shuttle and set course for Earth, carrying with him the evidence that would help dismantle the High Command forever. 3 years later, the Galactic Council met for the first time. Representatives from 200 species gathered in a massive space station built jointly by dozens of civilizations. The Crydonian Empire had collapsed into civil war shortly after Vexlar's defection. The High Leaders were arrested and faced trial for their crimes. Ambassador Park Ji-won stood at the podium. She was Ji-woo's sister, now representing Earth in galactic politics. The chamber was full of species that had once been enemies, now trying to build something new together. Today we establish a new principle for our galaxy, Ji-won said in the common language that was being adopted across space. No species has the right to conquer another. All have the right to exist freely and develop their own paths. This council will mediate disputes, facilitate trade and cooperation, and defend any member from aggression. The representatives voted. The motion passed unanimously. The Galactic Council was born, with Earth as one of its founding members. Later, Ji-won met with Vexlar in a private room. The former Crydonian commander now served as a consultant, helping the Council understand former Empire military structures and assisting with peaceful transitions on former Crydonian worlds. Do you regret your choice? Ji-won asked him. Vexlar thought for a moment. I regret the lives lost in service to an evil empire. I regret the pain I caused. But no, I do not regret choosing to help Earth build something better. You showed me that strength does not come from conquest. Real strength comes from knowing when to change. Outside the station, near the edge of Earth's solar system, the old automated beacon still floated in space. Human engineers had updated its message. Now it read, "Warning to all species. The system ahead is called Earth. Its inhabitants are neither aggressive nor passive. They are protective of their home and welcoming to peaceful visitors. Approach with respect, not conquest. Approach with open hands, not weapons. We are not a trap for those who come in peace. We are only a trap for those who bring war. Choose wisely. The message broadcast on all frequencies, a beacon of hope in a galaxy that was slowly learning the difference between power and wisdom. Earth had survived not by being the strongest, but by being the smartest, by preparing not just for war, but for the peace that could follow. The Crydonians had been warned not to go to Earth. They had ignored the warnings, and in doing so, they had walked into a trap that freed the galaxy from their tyranny and showed everyone a better way forward. The trap had worked perfectly, not because it destroyed an enemy,